It's a lovely Friday afternoon. Well, let's start by saying Happy New Month. Welcome to the first day in the month of March. And how has been business for you? Welcome to the program Business This Week, reaching you live from Dependent Television from our Benin Network studio. My name is Daniel Osedebame. This is the program where we take you through the world of business. We'll keep you up to speed with happening, how business has gone up, what has happened in the world of business, week under review, and other aspects affecting business. Well, today we are going to be tinting towards a very pressing discussion where we'll be looking at the economy under President Tinubu's watch, and of course the plight of business owners. How have them been faring? Has it been easy for them? We'll be looking at all that. We got with us in the studio someone who is an expert in the field. He's an accounting lecturer, an accountant by training. He's a public affairs analyst. He's in person of Jimmy Oko. Thank you so much for coming, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
And thank you for obliging us your time despite the short notice.
Thank you very much.
Now, there's no way we'll talk about the plight of business owners if we don't look at Naira and dollars. Just of recent, Naira has actually lost over 80% of its strengths. Let's begin with that. Looking at the whole depreciation in our currency, what is the way out?
All right. Thank you very much. You know, the idea is that what has happened in the past few months is actually a glaring issue of mismanagement of the Naira. We understand that what has been happening in the country is there is no way your currency can have the strength you actually desire if you do not produce something and satisfy yourself and sell to the outside world. Okay. That is where the logic lies. That you are able to, there's something we call external reserves. You are able to build that, show capacity that you are able to feed yourself and sell something to the other parts of the world. As more things you sell to other countries, it goes to strengthen the value of your currency against the currencies of those ones who buy so much from you. That is under the mechanism of balance of trade. But however, the issue of building capacity of production has not actually been an easy thing in Nigeria. So governments after governments have made their own attempt, but nothing seems to be working in that regard, except we can only trace back to history, the time where we just got our independence and all that, up to the time of Babangida's policy of indigenization. So since that time, it has actually been on the downward trend, the issue of production in Nigeria. But since then, what has government done? They've been trying to manage the Naira officially. Up to the time of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, we tried to manage the Naira officially so that at least we're able to, just like a patient who is critically sick, and the only way you can keep him alive, waiting for a day where there will be the hope, where the hope lies to have him healed, is to get an expert to just start managing it, and the medical practitioners call it coma.
And the person will be at intensive care unit or emergency ward.
That's where the currency has actually been placed over the past years. But the only thing, what happened recently is that we had a president who probably did not understand that. He was inaugurated and just said that the first thing he was going to do is, after removing subsidy, they are going to float the Naira. Floating the Naira means that you have now allowed the Naira to be exposed, to be detected by the forces of demand and supply of the international market. And when you say so, if you do not have anything to sell, if you will keep buying from others and you don't have anything to respond, it means you are not going to have anything to fight back. The Naira has no other direction but to keep going down. And that is what has happened. It wasn't so before. It remains. The solution lies on what we have said before, for government to make attempts, at least try at this time to do production.
So but you actually said the president allowed our currency to float.
Of course.
So does it mean that we can't really have any means to wage it?
The truth is this. God has blessed every country In economics, we call it comparative advantage. Every country has comparative advantage. That means what you are best naturally, what you are placed better to do than other countries. What you can do at a minimal cost, which another country will struggle to do, but on a higher cost. Nigeria is blessed with oil. And if you look at it, all the things we've been trying that other countries need from us is not about producing car. We've not been able to do that. We are not able to produce electricity to satisfy us, not to talk of satisfying other countries of the world. But oil, the whole country, different countries of the world, they've been relying on Nigeria to get crude. So that is to say that God has given us a comparative advantage to hold the entire world to ransom using oil.
But we have not. Have we been able to utilize this advantage?
That is the problem. What are we going to do to get that? The countries, these powerful countries around the world, they understand this. That if you do that, you are going to become stronger economically than they are. You know what they want to do? They will try to discourage every attempt you make to rely on your own resources. And that is why you see that crude oil does not have much value in the international market. But it is what it brings that have the value, that commands higher prices. Fuel, diesel, and all of that. But we have the crude. The best thing right now, the quickest to save the naira, the quickest to salvage the economy right now is that the federal government should be looking at trying to revive the refinery. Let us produce the oil at home. If we're able to produce...
Instead of exporting the crude.
If you produce... The meaning of that, you are aware that many of these foreign multinationals that buy crude from Nigeria, they buy in dollars. And do you know the funniest thing the federal government has done? That even if you as a person have the license to start extracting crude today, you must pay for it in dollars.
In dollars. Even within our shores.
Within our shores. Like the Edo has made attempt, and a few other units in the country. They have made attempt and said, we want to start producing in our very little units. But the federal, the NNPC will not agree. They said, you must pay in dollars. Because other foreign companies pay in dollars, they have kind of changed everything into that dollar has become the common currency to get crude. And these people, you know, when you are paying in dollar, it means that the demand for dollar is increasing against the naira. All of those ones are part of this, contributing to the fall in naira. So there are a few policies that we just need to make to strengthen the process of production in Nigeria, especially for the oil sector first.
So let's start looking at some of this policy, Jimmy. If we think some of these foreign companies are trading in dollars within our shores, dollars is not our national currency. It's not. We actually, naira is what we know. It's what the government has approved for us to operate with. But if every increase in dollars have a way of affecting our economy, then there's a problem. Sure. Now, as an expert, what do you think we should start doing to put in place, the mechanism to put in place to ensure that we strengthen our currency?
Yes. The opposite of that is that we'll encourage local refineries.
Okay.
We give license to as many persons as possible who are interested in the sector. You want to get crude, buy with naira. Then that means the demand for dollar within our geography is first reducing. When it's falling, it means the naira, whether you like it or not, is going to regain strength. Then by the time you do that, again, we are going to start having a refined product here. When you have refined product here, it means if they tell you how much if you divide the price per barrel, which is the unit for the local extraction, by number of liters that are extracted from each barrel, you are going to be surprised how cheap it is in the international market. But look at the price the refined product commands outside. So it means that what we just need to do is to ensure that we have that refined product from here and sell it. Instead of telling America, Germany, all of the country to come and buy the crude from here, they refine in their country, then we start buying. Look at it. The comparative advantage we just mentioned, we are abusing it. what God has used to bless us. But look at it. The cost of haulage, these people buy the crude they take to their country. After refining, we buy. When we buy, we start shipping back to the country.
Is it wise?
Just imagine, see how stupid it is. So instead of doing all of that, whereas you can refine here without cost of transport, nothing, you just get it right here.
Refine here, you distribute here.
The proximity to the raw material is there. You just refine the product close to where you extracted it, then people get it. The only thing is that when you are sent to outside the world, because of the haulage, then they pay higher for it. That is how we are going to get the advantage.
But virtually all our major refineries in Nigeria is not working. That of Kaduna refinery, at least my house where I stay in Kaduna is not too far from there, around Sabo. Okay. There's an area called Sabo. That's where the refinery is. People still work there, and they collect salary. As a matter of fact, if you get employment as a staff in NNPC under the refinery, you get huge package, juicy allowances, and yet we are not producing anything from these refineries. Does it really help us economically as an economist?
Of course. It doesn't even require economic principles for anybody to be.
Probably, I'm a layman. maybe there's a rationale economically that will probably back up that idea.
That is the lack of productivity we talk about in the country. That if you look at most of the government offices in Nigeria, you are going to see offices that are overstaffed. Where a senator has just won election, and all of those ones that are helped him, that sang the song for him, he just look for a way to put them somewhere, especially those of his household. Whether there is space or not, you see from the federal government, the minister, once the minister sign, they are able to lobby the minister sign, go and resume work there. It's always like that. That is why you see people there, whether there is productivity or not, they are just there. And at best, you see they are sent sometimes to go and assist in some other agencies that are subsidiaries and all that. But having the refineries is even the issue. Having the refineries are not working. The government has told us so many times, and at the time of Goodluck Jonathan, we got a very strong promise that it was going to work. Attempts were actually made. But when President Buhari came on board and told us, yes, I'm going to continue this, no attempt was made throughout for 8 years.
For 8 years.
So President Tinubu is the president now. He told us when he entered office that after 6 months, he wants to see one of them working. December, the 6 months ended. Nobody is saying anything. They told us that the Port Harcourt refinery was going to work, but nobody said anything. The thing is, the solution which God has given to Nigeria, we are not smart enough to start producing cars now. Not because we as us are not good enough to do so.
Some motors is attempting to.
That is only showing you what Nigerians have in themselves, what they can do. If only we have leaders that are responsible enough to encourage us to reach our potentials. But the encouragement from the government, the policies, they are not there. Since we are not very smart as a government to encourage our people to actualize potentials in these other areas of economy, at least the quickest one which God has given to us is the oil. If you go to very big countries that have what is this country that hosted the World Cup the other day? This Asia country. Okay. It is mainly oil. Go and check the graph of all their revenue. It's oil. All of these countries that are so blessed with oil, just like Nigeria, they are doing well. Rely on that, hold what you have, maintain it, and sell to others to give you what you want.
Do you believe in privatization? In the past, privatizing government-owned establishment has not really helped us. We saw what happened from NEPA to BDC and all that. I doubt if we have come out of it. When it was still when it was NEPA, when it was a power holding company, it was much better. BDC and other discos have taken over. It seems we have not really gotten anywhere from it. Other sectors that were privatized, we've seen how it's been run. Are you thinking in your mind that the government should privatize some of these refineries and let private individuals take over it?
Okay. Yes.
Just like we have Dangote now,
yes,
trying to have his own.
All over the world, my brother, all over the world, there is no, when you talk about, it is easier for private entities to drive economy.
It's easier.
It is easier.
But in Nigeria, it's not working.
It is working. The only thing is the government is selfish. Those in government do not want to remove hands from these things. That's the issue.
You think so?
You
think so?
Okay, take check the communication sector. OBJ had the courage to say no. He didn't talk about the Nigeria telecommunications. He said no. Let us allow private to come and function. You see what is happening then today?
It became an open market.
It became an open market.
We got SIM card for about 200,000, 100,000.
Yes,
it's now about 150,000,
yes.
150 naira.
You see what has happened?
Oh, really?
If you look at it, just imagine that sector. Even as decriable as it is that electricity is not stable in Nigeria, you don't think about how these people wage the costs to fund all they do. They have
their mats
everywhere.
Yeah, and they use diesel.
Yes, that is because it is private. A private owner would not want to invest and allow you destroy it. So that's the spirit of private. That competitiveness is there because it's an open feed. Everybody has to play. You play where you get it. But the government is not like that. The government is like free meal that they prepare for everybody to come and take. So when people come, everybody wants to get his own and go. Yes,
it's all about sharing the
cake.
Sharing the cake.
Yes.
So it becomes national cake thing.
I'm telling you, if you look at the issue of refinery, whether to privatize or not, it's not that it's not going to work. Electricity you talked about, it's not that it didn't work. This is what happened. Electricity is not like other sectors. There is creation of energy, there is distribution of energy. Okay. That distribution talks about the marketing. The government said, okay, we want to privatize this aspect. Which one did they privatize? The one that will collect money from people, the distribution. What about the energy production, which is the generation company? Nobody is talking about that one. The government has not given the power to private individuals to start doing this one.
To start generating power.
Yes. You know what Edo State government suffered. When Edo State government started making the effort to say, we want to start generating like this. The government doesn't want to. The reason is because they still use that to control how much they get. And at the end of the day, even the distribution, you look what actually happened. Was that present?
But don't you think if you give more power to people, businesses will stabilize? For instance, small businesses are grumbling. They are really crashing at this point. Most people who are doing petty business that they need light to run, they are literally providing for themselves. And this is some of the pain that they are going through.
Yes. The truth is that small, medium-scale businesses in Nigeria, they are closing up every day. Like the report of Junido last year, that what they have observed in Nigeria is that 80% of SMEs, they end up dying before their first 5 years anniversary.
Wow.
Yes. As at that time, the number was already going to about 2 million SMEs that have died in 2-3 years.
Wow.
Yes. Now, if the reason is not far-fetched, we understand that the cost of running business in Nigeria is not easy. It keeps changing, especially as we are facing it now. You see what the very harsh situation we are facing today. One thing that kills business so quickly is inability of business operators to make estimates, to make budget. To say, okay, I have sold this thing, I'm going to the market next week, I'm going to replace this. We call it, the cost of order, reorder. If you are not able to project that, then the business is crumbling any day.
So your inability as a business person to have your cost of order, you call it?
Yes, to meet reorder cost, because that keeps you in business. When you only go out to get your wells. After selling them, you need to replace them as a business.
But as it stands now, sorry for pausing, as it stands now, when you get goods today and you are going to reorder, the price has jacked up.
That is the problem. And
something you get for 10,000, let's say for instance, the next time you are ordering it, you're hearing 35,000.
Yes.
How do we strike a balance?
And this is it. You know, when in that situation, you hear people say, businesses don't make, they won't make loss in that situation. I saw one person trying to defend the federal government the other day on the screen, saying that no business should die, and ascribe that to the current president. That if whatever you buy, you sell with that same thing. I'm like, wow, what brain is this one speaking with? The idea is this: if a businessman, okay, we'll come very local now. A businessman has bought something, like you said, for 10,000 naira. He has now sold it. He has said, okay, let me sell for 11,000 naira and use 1,000 to cover my other costs. After selling for 11,000, somebody has told him that the thing is now 16,000 naira to go and get it. Yes, we agree that if you get it 60,000, you can sell it for 20 or 18,000, as the case may be. But how is he going to get the difference to go back to the market? The SMEs, they are not businesses that we know.
So who not pay for the shortfall?
Yes. That's
who pays for the shortfall?
That is why they
Still
are
the
buying.
businessman.
That's why they are closing. Because if he cannot go back to the market to get replacement, then he closes his business and go. Because these people, when they are not able to replace this one, if you talk about big businesses, what do? They run to the bank.
They get loans.
They run to the bank because they have what it takes to get anything from the bank. But SMEs do not have that access to capital. They don't have that much. Just keep going. And the funniest thing is that these SMEs, they are the ones that actually give the common man what the economy is saying. If you look at it, what the man at home, what the woman in the village is buying, everything he's buying, he's not going to the big wholesaler in the city to buy anything. It is small, these little businesses that attend to people in their local areas. And when that one is not going, it means you are strangulating the entire system, you are killing the people. So the policy of the federal government, or the ways the federal government has been acting under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has not encouraged businesses to grow. It's rather killing
talking about policies, do you think part of the policy that this current administration have is not sustainable?
Of course. From the first one, the issue of removing subsidy.
Is subsidy a problem? We should go out of that way. We should stop talking about subsidy.
Okay, look at it. But the effect is still on the ground. We can't pretend not to be saying it. A liter of fuel as we speak is over 700 naira. All of these ones are part of the cost.
And it's not even available in some cases.
All these ones are part of the costs of running the businesses we talk about. Well, I'm not talking about what it takes that woman in the street to buy some things, put in her freezer, keep them fresh until people come to buy them. I'm not talking about how much she's going to pay for electricity to do that. I'm not talking about transport alone.
And there are also other levies that comes up, local government, state government,
multiple
taxes and all that.
If you look at it, the problem, what we feared so much a few years ago, has come upon us. That the government we have is going to be handicapped, face lack of revenue, and run back to the people. And that is what is happening now.
No, you have to break this down now. You said the government will be handicapped?
Yes.
They will have lack of revenue.
Yes.
And run back to which people? The same people?
The people. Yes.
How? What way?
That is what they are trying to do. If you look at it, every responsible government around the world, they create new sources of revenue.
Okay.
When there's no money, you think of a new way, you create new sources and open it to the people. Then you get it. But you know what is happening now? You hear the federal government complain there's no money. State governments all around, they complain there's no money. But you know what? When you hear the Nigerian government talk about revenue drive, you know what they are talking about?
No.
It is taxation.
Oh.
To increase tax, to do multiple taxation from the same businesses that are closing, so that they can die faster.
Now, nobody's getting anything from the government.
Yes.
We need power, we need good road, we need security. For at least if these three things are in place, people can survive on their own. Nigerians have this ability to survive, even in hard times.
Resilience.
But there's no road, no electricity. Security is hitting every corner of the country. Insecurity is a major problem. Farmers can't go to farms. Back then, I know people who travel to Onitsha from Kaduna, from Niger State. People travel to Onitsha to get their goods and return back the following day. We call that night journey. It doesn't happen again. Even from Edo State, people go to as far as Onitsha here, but they don't really go even in its daytime. And the issue of power and good roads, all this put together, does it have a way of affecting our businesses? Can we start finding solutions for ourselves? If you walk through Igosa Estate, from the beginning of the estate, it's not just far from here, from the beginning of the estate to the end, everybody that sells on that street provide power for themselves. If you get there in the night from 7 p.m., you think they have normal power supply. But I got to just know recently that everybody's generating their own power from the beginning of the street to the end of that street. How did we get here? How can we come out of it?
Yes, we understand that most of the issues, when we talk about good roads, security, there are issues that positively help the economic situation of the country. They also help businesses to fly peacefully and meet its objectives. But against these ones, we have a country where the opposites of the two things have been, and businesses are not thriving anymore. They are dying instead. The issue is there is not much we can actually do without government that has the purpose to do something. People can make their efforts. We agree. But you won't compare what you do for yourself at home with what you need to sustain a business. A business needs electricity. It is not that little solar stuff that somebody is going to fix on the top of his house to give him light that a business needs. That's not what you need to power your storage facilities, especially when you deal on the perishable items. There's nothing anybody can do as an individual to curb issue of insecurity. You cannot, you won't get the kidnappers, but the government has been given the power to do all of these things. That is what, and these people come during elections to tell you, I can do this, I'm ready to do this, that. The issue of insecurity is not new in Nigeria. So hence, Tinubu has even campaigned against his own party man, President Buhari then, that he is coming to do what Buhari failed to do.
He said renewed hope.
Yes, meaning that the hope was not enough for Nigerians. The hope from Buhari was
so
not
we had
good
hopeless
enough
hope
for
from
yes.
the federal administration.
Call it any name.
Is that what you're saying?
Call it anyone. That's what Tinubu said by implication. And he promised that he was going to renew it, make it better for us. But
probably the hope wasn't strong enough.
Well, maybe he called it that way. But for Nigerians, they didn't even see anyone, any hope at all. So when he came, was, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Issue of insecurity was still there. I know people were being killed from different quarters. Kidnapping was still happening everywhere. And he said he was going to do something. He has been in government and nothing is happening about it. There are still killings, and even as we speak, the killings and the kidnapping, they are moving from one place in a large geography to every little unit that make up the country. If you look at it now, all the 774 local governments in Nigeria, there's hardly anyone where you don't have issues of kidnapping. It wasn't like that, but it keeps deteriorating because the government has been irresponsible enough to do what they should do. There's nothing we can actually do as private individuals, except we keep, even as we talk about community policing and all that, there's a limit to that. State policing is not in law. So how are we going to talk about community policing? So there's a limit to everything. The problem of the country in the area of economy, security, rises and falls with leadership. So until we have leaders that are responsible to, and not just responsible enough, leaders who even know what to do. Because if you look at it, since I want to believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was inaugurated, I want to believe that it wasn't what he planned to remove subsidy. You know,
so was it a slip of tongue?
You know, President Jonathan made attempt to remove subsidy, and he outlined courses of actions, what he was going to do to ameliorate the plight.
Introduce Shopee and other programs.
Yes. So, and many of these persons, they championed the campaign against it, and it didn't work.
In 2011.
When President Buhari came, that one didn't, but he kept saying it. Who even opened our eyes? Jonathan did. That see what is happening. But look at it. Is it actually, are we removing subsidy? Are we supporting to remove subsidy because subsidy is evil? Or we are removing it because the government is irresponsible and weak? I think the latter is the answer. The country must not be, it's not every part of the country that must be run with capitalist system. We understand capitalism has its own areas, it has its strengths. But look at it. If the government is saying the cost of refining crude, getting fuel, if we calculate it, as at that time, 1 liter will cost you 145 naira. Under President Jonathan's administration. It will cost 145 naira. 145, 142 naira then. I said, okay, the government will help you to pay a part of it, so that every Nigerian that is going to buy fuel will only pay for the other part of it. Yeah. Now, people have, okay, ask yourself, my brother, is that an evil thing? Why does the government exist? It's not to help its people. It's to help the people. If the government is saying want to help people to be paying for 50% of every liter, it is not bad, because the government knows that almost all the citizens depend on that product.
That's true.
Yes, that's right. Just happy. It's not a bad thing. Where the problem came is this: that these persons who are licensed to get this fuel, they will get it. Sooner, they got to understand that they can actually divide this product to other countries and charge them
higher
because there's no subsidy there now. They assume price where there was no subsidy. They charge it, they get more money. They bring very little of this product to Nigeria that doesn't go anywhere. But in an ideal situation, what would you do there? Is it to start talking about removing subsidies?
It's to put policy in place.
Thank you.
Probably that would checkmate the activities.
Thank you.
But that wasn't done.
That wasn't done. Because the federal government we have, since that of Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari, this Tinubu, they have been so weak to hold people responsible. Okay, you have discovered as a federal government that these people, they commit fraud. Is it not fraud?
You should have the power to prosecute them.
Then you don't, see, today nobody is prosecuted for it. And you said that Nigerians should not pay the full price for oil instead. Since you are weak, you can't prosecute those who are committing fraud. You are shifting the responsibility back to the people. And you know what? They systematically brainwashed all of us to believe that removing subsidy is actually the best. Yes, we understand that in the principles of economy, we should understand that when government removes hand from business, it is to try better. But everything about government is not business. It's meeting the needs and aspirations of the people.
Everything about government is not business.
No, it's not business.
It's meeting the yearnings of the people.
Yes.
I think I'll hold this one. Yes.
So it is, let us first of all agree that federal government in Nigeria, it is weakness of their part to have gone the way of subsidy removal. Look at all the countries in the world, around the world. Have you noticed, when you talk about this inflation that is happening in the country now, have you noticed that, you know, when people talk about government, we should do local production, look, fine, it's the best thing. That's what we started with, right?
Yes.
But look at it. You do not force people. You do not force people to stop buying foreign products.
You can't stop them.
You can't stop them.
You think so?
You can't stop them.
But buying foreign, because we were actually going there.
Yes.
Buying foreign products, won't that discourage local production?
Thank you very much. Because God himself that made us has made us with our freedom, free moral agents. That's what we are. So anything you want to do, you introduce policy that will make people start thinking, this is the way. Look at it. Visit almost all the countries in Europe today. Our people will travel there. When they get there, do you know what? They are not used to their foods. These are people who start saying, I want African food.
African food, yeah.
They will not stop you from bringing. Our people are there who are doing the business of exporting our food, ogbono, egusi, all
Yams,
of them.
cassava.
Yes,
yeah.
They are there. They call them African shops. Why would they not stop them? They won't stop them. They allow the markets to be. But do you know what they do? They make sure their own production, the production of their own food, they want you to eat that. They have economic principle to force you to do that on your own. The government will make sure that the cost of producing their local, their own foods
It's minimal.
Minimal.
Affordable.
Yes. So when our people travel to Europe, do you know what? They will just ask any of them. They will tell you that it is a big man that eats African food, that goes to African shop.
Santana of 100 naira here.
Yes.
Is about 1,800 there. One.
Yes. You cannot
The one we
blame
get
them.
for 100 naira
Yes.
here.
You can't blame them because these people that export these things there, they spend so much money for shipping. So by the time they get there, see how much it is. Then, if you are not able to meet up anymore, like I have one of my cousins who traveled to one of the countries in Europe recently, 2 years ago. He got there, when he was going, carried all the bags, because somebody told him that, this thing you won't get them cheaply. He didn't mind the money to pay the flights and all that for his luggage. He paid so much, carried this thing there. He started making do with his ogbono, egusi and all of that there. When the thing was getting exhausted,
He has exhausted ogbono and egusi.
He started calling me. He said, what am I going to do? Because I don't see anything they eat. If you see what they eat, I won't try it.
You should return back home now.
He went to work there and they served him food. He saw his nothing has sent to him. He said, what do they expect me to do with this? So I can't eat this. Then this guy will go to African shop. I said, buy the egusi, buy anything you want. Go and make it at home and eat. When he saw that 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, he's not getting any savings, nobody advised him.
So his life savings were actually diverted to getting African food.
Yes. So he had to go and start learning how to eat their food over there. That is how responsible governments
So they twist foreigners to accept their locally made products.
Yes.
So should we start doing the same here?
What I'm waiting for, that is what government should do.
When Buhari came on board, he closed all the borders.
It is by force.
All the borders were closed.
Look at it. Look at how that one is opposite to what we just talked about. Buhari came and said, you must buy local rice. As at the time Buhari came, local rice, a bag was around 30,000 naira. But
it was even less than that in the north.
Yes, okay, for some, right? Then we had good ones. At least they were still better now.
The foreign ones, yeah.
Yes. The foreign rice was about 665.
Yes.
But if you want to buy the one they call stone, you can get a bag for 5,000, all of that. So some people were able to buy those ones. But Buhari now said, will now close the border. Some people were able to, Nigeria, smuggle some foreign bags into the country. And because of the cost of that smuggling, what they pay at the port and all that, the price of foreign rice jumped to 15,000. When it was around 15,000, guess what? Local rice was already above 30,000. Then how do you want
But reverse is the case.
Yes. How do you want me? Does it make economic sense that I go to the market and buy local products that is not of same quality, up to half of the quality of the foreign one? It's not well fitted. They expect me to pay over 30,000 naira for it, when the very well refined, beautiful rice is selling for 13,000. When the foreign rice got to 30,000, the local rice was already 40,000, 50,000. Then what do you expect to do? It doesn't make any sense. The reason is because the federal government here didn't know what to do. That what you need to do is to create some policies that will cripple the cost of production within the country. By the time you do so, ordinarily, local products will become cheaper. And when local products are cheaper, you are selling for a bag of foreign rice for 70,000, and local rice is now coming for 30,000. You won't advise me before I buy the local rice.
But you just say you don't like local rice before. Because of the price now, you will go for local rice.
Because consumers, economically, the only thing that affects them, that determine what they do, is money, price. That's what we usually say, elasticity of demand based on price. So the government doesn't know what to do. Coming back to why I talked about President Tinubu, I'm not sure he was ready to talk about subsidy removal. When he came, because President Jonathan has told the people, I want to remove it.
He opened our eyes, according to you.
He opened it. Buhari came and said the same thing, though he didn't. It later became normal to everybody. Subsidy should be removed. And Tinubu thought he was going to please the people. That people were going to hail him and say, wow, good. I just jumped onto the bad one to say, no more subsidy. Thinking that thinking that Nigerians were going to say, yes, what Jonathan could not do, what Buhari could not do, he has done it. But not knowing that there's a whole lot of science behind it. When you say remove subsidy, there are some things, causes of actions that you must do. For instance, if you allow one refinery to start working before you say subsidy removed, I tell you, the price of fuel will not jump like this. So it all boils down to the fact that the federal government that we have now doesn't seem to have a clue.
Okay, let's begin to extend the front line of the discussion, because we'll be wrapping up very soon. Federal government have been giving out bailout fund to an extent, in a way, to state government, to even household. Do you think it's wise economically, instead of taking these monies and sharing like Christmas gifts to some state governors who are already wrapping up their tenure in office? Some are not returning back, and you're giving a whooping sum of 30 million naira to a particular state. Does it really make sense? Should this money be diverted into the economy? And if we are diverting this money into the economy, where should we channel this money to?
It only shows, under a very responsible government, there is no free money for anyone. Until we get there, Nigeria cannot change. There is no free money for anyone, and you don't expect free money anywhere. Even the government should be strict enough to tell the people there is no free money anywhere. So
the one the federal government is giving out is not free money?
I mean, if we have responsible government.
Okay.
But the federal government we have now has demonstrated that they are not responsible at all. So it started under Buhari's administration. The one they call, the vice president of Shibanjo was
trader money.
Yes.
How many traders got that cash?
Billions went through that channel. But as we speak, who are those that benefited from it? Today, you won't find anyone. How many persons were lifted out of poverty
through the trader money support?
You will not see anyone. So we are just dancing around the circle. That is why the local man will tell you that you teach me how to fish,
Not
not give me fish. The government should be at the forefront of letting the people know that there is no free money, but we can teach you what to do to give you money. Okay. What the federal government is actually doing, giving out money to state government and all that, what do you expect them to do then? You expect, okay, you want to give 100 billion, for instance, to Godwin Obaseki to share among all the indigenes of Edo State. How is that going to be possible? The idea is this. And two, how are you going to know if you say you are going to consider the most indigent, like they always claim? How are you going to do that? What scale are you using?
Is there a register that tells us who are the most vulnerable people? As we speak in Nigeria, the federal government does not even know the exact population of the country. In the past, we have the poor and we have the rich, but now we have the poor, poorest of the poor, and vulnerable. Those are the rich. Yes, those ones are only, they're actually theories. But it doesn't exist. It does. Look at it. When I say theory, every country, government, will be able to now localize what they mean by those ones. Okay. Nobody anywhere in the world will say, when a person is like this, it means he's poor or that. Countries establish their scales, different organizations establish their scales to classify people and say, this one belongs there, this one belongs there. This is why we say this one is here. But the federal government doesn't have a scale to say who is the poorest of the poor. Okay, Jimmy, I know you have a lot to dish out. We'd like to have you again on the show so that we could probably start fostering a way out of this plight that business owners are going through. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. All right, we'll be seeing you on the next edition. My name is Daniel Praise Osedeba. May you have yourself a blessed weekend ahead, and bye for now.